Alrighty. Hope you guys are doing good. Great to see you, William Arends. Great to see you, Charles Latora. We're online now, as far as I know. I certainly do want to make sure that I get to Calandale's video one of his playthroughs today. Good morning, Charles Latora. Yeah, and yet again, good morning, William Arends. I don't know about you, William, but I just noticed that they were calling for a massive amount of rain coming this way. I think about nearly 50 millimeters of rain, so this ought to be interesting. See if it happens. Yeah, so I do certainly want to get to Charles Latora's Calandale's playthrough today, and it's 22 minutes long. I did, yeah, I've written down obviously what I do want to yibber yabber on about, but I want to certainly make sure that you know, I get to certain points. But let's get right off bat. Good morning, Dirk D. Or good afternoon from you, or evening, that's true. Yes, okay, let's go to the History Heroes trivia thing first. Oh man, this one is going to be a super duper, I don't know, like I was saying, if maybe before, we just got a ton of, oh, good morning, Meandering Mike, great to see you. I don't know if, anyways, I'll just tell you what it's been coming, what I've been babbling on in the first 1 minute here. I'm just saying that I certainly do want to get to the Calandale playthrough as quickly as possible. It's about 22 minutes long, but I certainly do also want to talk about some of the things that's gone on this week. Specifically, I would say I really want to, I'm really happy yet again. I know I keep babbling on about it, Charles Latora, but I'm really glad that you brought up or got me off into thinking about Africa, like the Great War in Africa, because I don't know how much I would have, you know, gone that way. Anyways, and yet again, I mean, I'll talk to you quickly about what I found out about when I was reading chapter 3, the capture of Douala. I don't know if that's how it's pronounced. And yet again, it's just stuff that I'm regurgitating, you know, from a few days ago kind of thing. So, but some interesting little, as far as I know. So like what I'm saying is take it with a grain of salt, what I'm saying. I do provide the links in the description. So that should be a good thing. So first off, let's go right off to the History Heroes trivia thing. I'm going to give you the leaderboard again. Yeah, William Arends, you just blew us off the freaking thing last week. I was like, what the hell? I was not expecting that at all. So Meandering Mike's at 49 points. William Arends is at 41. For 1 week, Charles Latora, you were ahead of William Arends for a little while, and then he just annihilated you last week. You're at 37 points, Charles Latora. Mark Russell's at, I've got him at 5 here, but he should be at 10. I don't know what's going on here. Zoe Dufour should be at 5. Dirk D, you're at 1. Ken X and Math Fun and Games as well. I think you're at 2. I'll have to check, but I think the description's a little off there. William Arends says, April has been one of the cold winds and rain, night frost, but thankfully no snow in south central Ontario. Yeah, this week, actually, I had to remind myself that it's still a few weeks away for planting season here. Charles Latora says, Mike, he's like, as per. Yeah, I was looking at my plants, and they're just not poking up very much right now. A few of them have, and I was like, wait a minute, we're still a few weeks away, so, you know, relax. But mind you, with all this rain, if we do get some, like a bit more warmth after that, holy smokes, it's going to be crazy. Okay, so here, I'm going to pop in I'll pop it in the banner, I'll pop it in the comments, and I'll say it out, the first thing. And boy, this is going to be hard for me to, well, it's going to be, I think, a lightning round one for you guys. You're going to go like that. It's so easy. And I'm like, how do you, the clues are the way they are. So here we go. I got to go to the banners for a second. I got to find out. Oh, this one's not too bad. Oh, God, they're all hard. They're all easy. What can I do, man? Here we go. I was a soldier for nearly 53 years and was German head of staff from 1891. So I just popped it into the banners. I'm going to go into the comments. And Charles Latora says, hello, Dirk. And like I said, I'll go to the thing if I can find him. There we go. And so there you go. Remember, you get 1 point for just even guessing. So Some people need to really start pumping up their points. So there we go. I'll go quickly while you guys are looking at that, and let me know if you guys want me to get rid of the banners or, you know, whatever, that type of stuff. Yeah, I'll quickly go through my what I saw, like what happened this week back in 1915. Quickly, I'll go with my pictures here, so maybe that'll help. Yeah, hold on here. I want to make sure I go to the right. Actually, we're going to go to this one first. Hold on, and I am a window, so that's good. William Arends says von Moltke. No, but you do get a point. Dirk D says Angela Merkel. No, but you get a point. So Meandering Mike says, I would guess Schlieffen. Boom, done. D-O-N-E. The master has done it again. I'm sorry, but every time I keep thinking somebody's getting closer to reeling him in. I was even thinking last week with Meandering Mike there, I was like, geez, he's been slipping lately, man. Like the past couple of weeks, people have been getting closer and closer, and then all of a sudden, it's over with. Yep, it's, what's his diddle? Alfred von Schlieffen or whatever, and I'll pop in all the whatevers. Yeah, maybe we'll go to his little thingamabob later. Yeah, it's Alfred von Schlieffen. He died in 1913, 18 months before his plan was put into operation. Also, it says, I thought a surprise massive attack against France would stop Britain becoming involved. The other clue was I planned to invade France via Belgium and Holland and cut Paris off from the sea. Another clue was my plan was to attack France as soon as Russia began to mobilize her army. And I devised a plan in 1905 that could wage war against Russia and France at the same time. And I thought it would take 6 weeks to knock France out of the war. And that didn't happen, as we know. All right, so well done, Meandering Mike. So that, well, I chopped off yet again a good chunk of my talking bits here. So I'm going to see if I can pop this into present, because I want to, and then we'll quickly go to the window. There we go. So this one, hopefully you can see it. I just want to go to the, so I can see you guys. So there, please let me know if you need me to, I'll bump it up. So this part is where there's been a siege going on in Van with the Armenians. The Ottomans have just been nailing them something fierce. I don't know too much right now about this. All I know is that they're from what I've been reading right now, and you'll see even in the whatever records, is that, here, I'll go so I can just bump it up a little bit more. I think I can do things like this. So, got it. There we go. So right there, and I think they're saying, for what I've been reading now, officially now it's the Armenian genocide that is occurring now. That's like, it is the massive deportation. A lot of stuff I think has been happening weeks before this, but now it's like on its way kind of thing. Is that presenting? Am I not? Yeah, okay, goody. I'm doing both. I wasn't really looking at a lot. Meandering Mike says, yeah, that is a lot of mountains. And Meandering Mike, with this map, I got to tell you, I had to fiddle a bit with the colors and the contrast just to make it appear somewhat, like sharpen some of the text, because it wasn't looking very good on the screen. But here, I'll quickly go to the other stuff so we can jump to what I wanted. Also talk a lot about is the chapter 3, the capture of Douala. So I'm just, okay, so there we go. As you know, the second battle of Ypres that we were talking about last week is still ongoing. Right here, I'm just showing you, these are 3 areas, and there's that the Germans have been bombarding along here. But from what I've been reading, at this point right now, the German offensive is starting to stall a bit. The Canadians have been relieved. There's been, as we know, the two gas attacks already. And so there's Nancy, there's Reims, I do believe, and that's Dunkirk. So that's been going on. Then I'm going to zip over to here, and why I'm bringing this up here, so yet again, what if you remember what's about to happen right now, and this is also in part with, oh, I've got to get to the comments because I'm not actually looking, just in case. So please let me know if that's not big enough or whatever. But so there's the Carpathians, as you can see, and right around there, I'll look it up in the bits. So remember, this is all part and parcel from what I've been reading up, anyways, with the Second Battle of Ypres, which was that was partially the Germans wanting to test out the new gas, chlorine, as well as keeping attention away, the Allies keeping the attention away from what they were doing, which was bringing a lot of reinforcements into the Eastern Front to prepare for what they were going to, what would end up becoming the Görlitz-Tarnów breakthrough for them and the Great Retreat for everybody else, basically. And from what I've been reading so far and been watching with the Second Battle of Ypres, that part of the reason why the Germans did stall with their offensive is a lot of their reinforcements that they would have needed have been sent to the Eastern Front. So it was kind of like whatever. But what I wanted to show you here is that on the 28th of April, and I'll pump it up a little bit more if I can. So right around here, it says boink. So right there, getting back to the comments. So right there, it says that there was a very powerful, and I'm just quoting from the chronology book here, very powerful Austro-German offensive under von Mackensen begins between the Dunajec and Biala rivers, western Galicia, and the Russians are driven back. So I'm going to now go to the other, I'm going to show you the, I took some pictures of the Görlitz breakthrough scenario that's on my kitchen wall that I started with Ken X, and Ken 10 or Ken X did one move, and you're actually going to see, it's interesting, he actually did a move right where, we're looking here, I just got to get back, sorry, I got to get back to the spot. So, boink. So there you go. So there's the other spot. So you're going to see later, I'm going to show you the overall boink. So there's the overall front that's just in a few weeks from now, that this massive offensive, you can, I guess, technically say it's already started, in the sense that of von Mackensen and the Austrians right now around here and in Tarnów are already, along those rivers, are already starting to make a push this way. So here's the front that's about to start, and there's already a bit of action up here to try to rid some of the Russian troops, I guess, which would eventually become Lithuania. Anyways, let's go back to this bit. So that's this spot. You can see these little yellow area, orange markers. This is where the trenches were. I was pushed back. Ken X had pushed back my Russian troops here in the first turn. So I just wanted to show you there. So this is what's, just a few weeks away is what's going to happen historically. Okay, and that's going to be what we're going to talk about. Let's go to it now, for goodness sakes. I'm just going to go to the comments so I can see what the heck's going on here. So so this is about chapter 3, and let's see if I can do this properly. And hopefully, please let me know, guys, if you guys can't see this this map well or whatnot. So, chapter 3 for the Great War in Africa, from what I've been reading so far, initially the French and the British had a horrible relationship. The amount of coordination from top to bottom was pathetic. They seemed to distrust each other at all levels in Africa, what was going on with their colonies. I guess it was the conference in London on the 15th of April or something. They did decide that they were going to do a joint attack in the Cameroons, and it was going to be led by General Dobell. And this is the irony. I was earlier this week. I was talking with Rob, and we actually watched. I got to rewatch that YouTube docu movie I was mentioning there about the Battle of the Somme, I think it was. Yes, and that was really darn good. And I'm getting sidetracked here. Yes, I am. Where am I going? Oh yeah, with Rob. And Rob was mentioning that one thing that he finds irritating is lots of times when he's watching documentaries or movies is that they'll only mention like the British or the Americans or the whatever, and they seem to forget about all the the colonials or whatever. And here was a perfect example where I'm reading in the book The Great War in Africa. Meandering Mike says French and English had 1,000 years of previous history of not getting along. Darn right. Oh my gosh, you're right. What am I thinking? And especially also Meandering Mike, what you're on a side note, what you're mentioning with this is the Cameroons actually is part of the reason why the British, from what I've been reading, got into the Cameroons in the first place was they were terrified at how quick the French were moving into that part of Africa, and they were like, hey, we want a piece of this too, and off they went. But the Germans had beat them to it, kind of thing. Anyways, you end up finding out what I'm reading is that General Dobell was born in Quebec. He's a freaking Canadian. But in the book, they mention British commander. So he ended up, he spoke fluent French. So he was a perfect candidate, for the English-French connection here. He had massive amount of combat experience. He was all over the flippin' place. He was in the Boer War. He was in, I think he was in India. He had been in Nigeria, so on and so forth. So he was perfect. So when they, from what I've been reading, you can see here, I'll see if I'll bump it up a little bit. I popped in some little red things. I'm going to show you a cute, cool little map later, or something I did add here. So there we go. So this is Douala over there, and you can see this. I'm just trying to, oh, it didn't work there. Oh, I think, so hopefully you guys can see that. So there's Douala, there's Yas Battery, and there's Yapoma, you're going to find out in a minute, and Piti, and this river here, the Bamba River or whatever, and this little channel and Rugged Point. So from what I've been reading, here I'm going to go back to the comments because I want to see that. And yeah, please let me know if it's things are not looking better. If you want, like, I got rid of me, so you can see maybe the map bigger. There we go. And I'll get rid of the banners. There we go. And Meandering Mike says, lots of shrimp in these waters. Look, Meandering Mike, baboom, which is Portuguese. Cameroon, as far as I know, is Portuguese for prawns. Remember, I think that's last week we were talking about that. So there you go, man. Oh, and on a side note, darn it, Meandering Mike, I wish I had taken the picture. There's a picture, because I know you had mentioned that you like to collect stamps, like also from Togoland and so on and so forth. There's these stamps that were taken over by, that were found by the British, and they ended up stamping their little things on it, the CEF or whatever, the Cameroon Expeditionary Force or whatever the heck it was, to show that these stamps were now part of the, that they were British property. I thought that was kind of neat. I was like, oh, darn, I wouldn't mind taking a picture of these for Meandering Mike. What I was going to say. So they decided that they were going to try to take this spot here, Douala, and although it wasn't the capital of the Cameroons, it was a really extremely important port. It had two railways, as you can see, going in and out of it. There was something to do with coal around here. I do know that the town was modeled after European, German type things. So it like had the, the nice parks and everything. It was like supposedly a really nice place. I don't know if it still is. They do, the mayor of Douala was warned ahead of time that the defenses around this, for the town were pathetic. So they tried to do whatever they could in the interim. They put in a artillery battery here at right there at the Yas Battery, as you can see there. They also sunk some ships, some vessels along here in the channel. And unfortunately for them, most of them were in extremely shallow waters or the shoals. And I found ironically that one of the vessels was called the Cameroon and ends up being salvaged by the British later and being used as a hospital ship, which I thought was kind of cool. And Meandering Mike says, I've seen stamps that had Cameroon's UK TT stamped on them. Yes, That's the kind of that's if I had the picture, I'd scanned in. I would show it to you guys. So, anyways, they decided they were going to. They had to do an amphibious assault. I can't look up the guy's name because he was really important. So they had a combination of British and French land forces, and also a huge amount of river and small ocean vessels. And one of the guys that was really important, he did an amazing job. Where are you? Not Joe Dobell, because that's the big guy. Who are you? Joe Dobeck? No, that was Dobell, sorry. Cyril Fuller, Captain Fuller. So he was in charge of navigating through all the little rivers and inlets to try to figure out, if there's going to be any surprises or whatnot. And he was extremely effective. Charles Latora says Botha. I don't know if I'm saying that right. And I don't know what you're talking about, so let me know, man. Anyways, he was extremely effective. There's a ship, and I'm going to bring it up here now because it's called the HMS Dwarf. And it was really, I don't know too much, but it did a heck of a lot of action up and down in these tiny little rivers. Meandering Mike says TT equals trust territory, which sounds like a more polite way of saying we grabbed your land and made it a colony. Good Lord, no kidding, man. Yeah, it's just, I don't know about, when I read this stuff, I have to remind myself to kind of just, it's, it was back in the day kind of thing. It's just like, Lord of mercy, just the way they viewed the world. So when they finally got things together, like I said, this Captain Fuller ended up coming back. He managed to bring, secure some, he did night raids, got some vessels back. I'll show you the HMS Dwarf later. It's a really cool little ship, and also this website where you can go to, and it's in the links there at the, it's like, I think it's called naval.net or something like this. Anyways, they've got everything together. There was over 30 vessels, blah, blah, blah. They got here around in mid to late September. Basically said to the mayor, the occupants of Douala, surrender or else kind of thing. We're going to start bombarding your town. They were the Germans were a bit evasive, and so it looked like things were not going to go that way. Dobell decided to send a couple of forces up here, I think, with a small flotilla up here to take Pity, and then eventually be able to take out this rail bridge here and stop the Germans retreating this way, at least. It didn't work. The Germans had anticipated this and had put a boom somewhere along here in the river. I don't know where. They also had scattered troops along here and engaged in some small arms fire as both the land troops and the little river flotilla tried to come up here. So that stopped. That's when Dobell realized, okay, screw this. We're going to obviously have to take the town by force. And I think on the 27th of September, they went over onto Rugged Point to take a look at how they were going to go about it. And then they heard and saw a huge explosion in Douala here, and then the white flag went up. And what had happened was one of the main reasons why the British and the French wanted to take this town, I think I mentioned it last week as well, was that it had a really powerful wireless station and was able to communicate all the way to Berlin and whatnot. Anyways, the Germans took out the wireless station, surrendered. The British and French came in here. They militarily thought, okay, this is it. We've done the objective. We've cut off the railways. We've secured this port town, and there's really nothing of strategic value up here. But I guess the powers that be, the politicians back home in France and Britain decided, you know what, this is a perfect opportunity for us to take the whole colony. So plans were starting to be made to start moving in the interior. And that's all I know. So that's it for chapter 3. And I'll go back to just, oh, no, I wanted to show you the next map. Just to show you what I can do, like, or you could do too with iFran View. So I did this in less than 30 seconds. What do you think of that? That looks pretty cool. At least I hope you guys think so. So if you guys ever wanted to do something, find some maps or whatever, and wanted to, you know, just like I said, I just went into iFran View, and you can change the shading, the transparency, the color, the thickness, the amount of hexes you want, the whole 9 yards. I just thought that was pretty cool. Is there any other pictures? I'll take a look. Oh, on a side note, before we start, it's been 25 minutes. This is not too bad. Meandering Mike mentioned last week when I was talking about, oh boy, wouldn't it be neat to do maybe have like an ongoing thing where I would ask you guys about you know what side should do what in the Albanian front. We could do it from week to week. But Dirk D says nice. Yeah, yet again, it's been wonderful that this, like I said, this feedback interaction thing has been great, because I probably would never have been nowhere near interested or involved in finding out about Africa, and here we are week to week. I'm just starting. This is awesome. You're right, Meandering Mike. When I took a look at the actual forces and took a good hard look, it's ridiculous. There's no point in doing at this scale for Der Weltkrieg. There's no point in just doing the Albanian front. There's not enough units. It's just, even using a core HQ and starting to do divisional breakdown, there's no point. Some of the units are just like 2 strength points or 1 strength point. So there's nothing to break down anymore to that point. So I still want to do something like that. Meandering Mike says, can you put the name of the map tool in the chat? Oh, absolutely. Also, Meandering Mike, if you go into the YouTube description down there, I do believe you will see iFran View in there. Also, if I'll do it right, I'll do it again right now. But I would say I am an intermediate user of iFran View. In other words, there's a whole other slew of tools available, because you can start doing plugins and so on and so forth that I have not used. And I know that when I've gone to some of my friends' apps of their version of iFran View, they've got less functionality than I do, because they haven't added certain things, like they don't have the hex thing. So I'm just letting you know ahead of time. Let's do that now, so I can make sure that it's not, it should be in my live stream description, I hope, please. Did I put it in? Yes, thank goodness. So here we go. I also, just before we, there's a couple of shout outs I do want to mention. So here, let me know if it works. There we go. And maybe I'll just put in the the web link, and I can get rid of Alfred von Schlieffen. What did I also want to mention? There's one pic. I do yet again, and I put it in the link. It's just a quick shout out. I'm not going to pop on his page, but it's in the description. Is Wesley Livesay's Great War podcast. He also does some other stuff like World War II and whatnot, I've noticed. And he's got a huge amount of I've just scratched the surface. And I'm like, wow. You're very welcome, Meandering Mike. Meandering Mike says thanks, obviously. It's just another resource for me to go, wow. And another, that's it, about the chronology book when I've been doing, because guess what happened this week, and I'm sure you guys know, is Gallipoli in earnest, if you want to call it that. The troops have landed, and they're getting killed left, right, and flipping center. And what I found amazing is that I'm starting to clue in, and how much bias is in the chronology book when I'm reading it, is that when I'm reading it, it's, okay, here's a quote from it, and you tell me if this sounds like the Anzac forces are getting their asses kicked in Gallipoli. Certainly doesn't sound like it to me. So I can get to it. April 28th, Dardanelles. Allied forces aided by Queen Elizabeth advance on Krithia. Or April 27th, Dardanelles. Allies establish themselves across the Gallipoli Peninsula. You know, it's just amazing. Like, so I'm wondering, like, stuff that I don't have any access to otherwise, like it was just, let's say, from the chronology thing, and I'm reading about whatever that's going on in the Caucasus or whatever. Like how much, yet again, so I'm thinking, okay, you better, Chris, if you really want to get a better picture of things, you can't just keep relying on the chronology book as thinking this is gospel for what happened. Oh, and I will share a couple of other pictures that, and then we'll go off into Wonderland here. Hold on here. Now I want to present. Am I stopping it? Okay, there we go. Okay, there we go. Now I'm going to present. Share screen. There we go. Yeah, I wanted to show you a couple of, there we go. We're going to go back to this thing. And then I'm going to go to that guy. That guy. So here's, so this is from the strategy and summation book that, and this is at the very end, so it also does a chronology thingamajig. So I just kind of wanted to show you that what this one shows, and hopefully you guys can see. I'm not going to read it out, but I just wanted to kind of show it to you. So that's that bit, and then I'll just flip it over onto that side. So you can see here, like for example, on the 26th of April, Italy signed the secret deal, saying that, by the way, we're not going to join the Entente, that type of stuff. So, and there it is. Turks begin massacre and deport of Armenians on the 3rd of April, and so on and so forth. But what is that other? There we go. So this is the one thing I wanted to show you, which I thought it was just a nice little passage. And I also wanted to kind of show you kind of like the text. So this is from the book, the Whiz-Bangs and Woodbines book there, and I just cut and pasted. So the top part is like from the page previous. It would be on the bottom of page 61. That's why it's a bit crooked. But I just wanted to show you some of the nice little prose that that this Reverend, the author, does. So, you know, sometimes as we came away from the hut at night, tired out after a long day's work, we would see a sudden light flare up in the east. Something big was going on where the armies were facing one another across no man's land. And always there was the distant booming of the guns, and we wondered what would be tomorrow's news. I just thought it's like, wow. I just really, I just like his little story bits. Meandering Mike says, multiple sources are a good thing. You're darn right. And when I found out that you had 32 sources for your annotated bibliography for the game that you're working on, I was like, yeah, there you go. Anything else that I want to quickly go before we go off into Calandale land? Shoots. Oh my gosh, we didn't. I didn't show you the Martin Gilbert's map 3 thing. We didn't do that yet. That it. The things. Yeah, I mentioned Gallipoli. Yeah, there's also, like I think I mentioned way earlier that when we were doing the tutorials, Dirk, way back when we started, we were also doing not just it actually was just a Calandale playthrough and a Dave Schroeder tutorial video from his YouTube thing. And then when I started realizing he's got 18 of them, and then at the end it was like, wait a minute, there's a lot of the stuff are not mentioned. He doesn't talk about trenches really. A lot of the different terrain is not mentioned. Some of the unit types are not mentioned. You know, how like the mountain units, how they can things. Gas isn't mentioned. There's a lot of things. I was like, oh boy, we should you know, maybe chit chat about that at some point. So I wouldn't mind getting back to that. Like I said. Oh, and what I was saying about the interactive thing with, because the Albanian front obviously is not going to, it's a no-go. Like, you're right, Meandering Mike, it is a die 6, or it's just, or flip a coin. It's ridiculous. And I want to go back to Meandering Mike has added 2 more books to my bibliography yesterday. It's up to 36. Wicked. Oh my God. It's almost like a side thing with your subscriber count. That would be hilarious. And hope to God your bibliography never jumps ahead of your subscriber count, unless, of course, your subscriber count is like at 10,000. Then that would be sweet. I do want to go, like I said, I still do want to do an Italian front thing, but I'll be honest with you guys, I know Caporetto is like the sexy thing or whatever, but from a gaming point of view, from what I can see, it's flipping boring, man, at this scale. At least for me, it's not compelling. For me, I find that maybe I don't have enough time, and I don't think I'm intelligent enough to do a good enough job to do something like the order of battle for one that I would like to do, something like the third battle of the Arends, which is not covered in the Weltkrieg stuff. I'd love to do that, but like I said, I don't think I have enough time or the know-how to be able to say, okay, here's a module for using the Weltkrieg thing. So I'd like to do the first battle of the Arends, which is what I wanted to do in the first place way back when. And then I got persuaded from you guys to go off into Caporetto land. I'm like, you know what? Let's go back to that. And it's kind of like right back from square one. I can find out about things and so on and so forth. But what I've been reading up, which is going to be interesting, to find out how much do you get when you, or at least when I go to play the first battle of the Arends, and hopefully with you guys, is, for example, with the Italians, when to simulate the broad front attack, when, let's say, attacking with one army, you have to attack with the same amount of supply points with the other army, kind of thing. And I'm thinking, oh boy, look how much flexibility as a player will I get, and will we get, if you guys help me out, when we make decisions. Like, where do you get to that point of simulation to the, it's interesting because let's be honest, if I was playing the grand campaign or the way I'm going to go on from there, I'm not certainly going to constrain myself that way. Anyways, we'll get off into that. On a side note, with the Caporetto stuff, this book, and I'm not going to show you the things here, but this book here, remember I picked this up at the War Museum at the used bookstore. This book, holy F. Okay, it's obviously primarily about Caporetto, but and I'm going to scan the books in, the maps in, but these maps look really, really good. A lot better than the maps that I've been able to get. I've scanned one in so far, but you can see what I mean. Like, that's pretty impressive stuff. So I certainly want to do that. Okay, we're going to do the. Yeah, I think we still have enough time. We'll do the map quickly. Yeah, because I'd like to get the Martin Gilbert thing. So hold on here. I got to do that. I got to pop it up again, and then we'll go to Calandale. LS-206. I gotta remember where the heck you are now. Oh yes, okay. So you would be on the live stream thing. My Atlas maps, number 3, and then I gotta go back to you guys, and then present, share my screen. Oh yeah, and I wanted to show you the quickly bit of the HMS Dwarf. Not this thing. I don't want you guys. It's not that. I wanted you to see. Up sharing. I want you to not that one. Sorry, guys. Window. All right, there we go. So hopefully you guys can see that. Please let me know if it's too small or whatever. So this is the third map, the minorities of the Central Powers in 1914. It shows you all the little shaded areas that you can see of all the little spots that, obviously are going to have aspirations of having their own nations or a little bit more say in their and their futures. And it says here, the three Central Empires each contained large minority groups who wished for eventual independence. Many of these groups hoped that an Allied victory might lead to their liberation. The Allies encouraged such hopes and offered to support the minorities if they turned against their imperial masters. And holy Moses, I didn't realize how much, like all this area around, like I just didn't realize there was this much of all this areas of contention. And I'm sure you guys know a hell of a lot more than I do about all this stuff. Anyway, so that's it. Now we'll go to the Calandale thing. And away we go. Hold on here. And Microsoft Edge tab. And then I've got to turn myself off. The volume, hold on.
Here in November, there's a big requirement to attack. Essentially, the Brits need to trim some of their replacement points. They spent all their supply on a single attack, maybe not on the best hex they could. They did like 14 points of damage to 13 in response. The Germans also launched something, I don't know what, down here across the Seine. A quick attack across there. Again, not doing them any good, really. There they had to burn some supply points. They're looking at, well, the Brits helped them out afterwards, but they're looking at, well, if I don't burn them, I'm going to be over the limit next month. So I've got to kind of kill them all at this point so that I can, I don't know. I really don't know. And it means a winter offensive, and there's sort of this lack of overall strategy forming, which feels fine in a tactical game for me when you don't, have a clear view of what you're trying to do. But here, it's just pure opportunism, and I don't know, it's kind of making me grumpy. Well, even with the Germans significantly defending Mulhouse, as I'm told it's pronounced more or less, the French were able to push through there. They've got a significant amount of power there. And without the trenches in place, there were no entrenchments there yet. It was easy to take. That's 30 demoralization points for the Germans, well worth having done for the French. And now it opens things up for pushing up through the Rhineland area and maybe cutting this entire area off. That's bad news for the Germans, really bad news. One thing to note, though, there's no real will here. Is this demoralization, which is just bad stuff happening. So Le Grand Guerre handles things kind of nicely in the sense that, yeah, even the morale of your troops is essentially affected by how well you're doing. So if you do really well, you can boost your position up. Here, it's just a matter of, it doesn't matter what you take, except in terms of collapsing the other guy. There's no possibility for improving things. That's okay, I guess. It's just, another thing that I kind of like the way LGG handles it better than this. Well, as we push through most of November, we're through the 5th turn, actually, of it. 2 more to go, and serious thoughts of quitting. Having to hunt a piece down and then just saying, man, I screwed up the gas. It's not every year, it's every month you gotta check. So even after I found out that I screwed up. So probably gas would have shown up. I kind of want to see it happen. And I still kind of want to see the assault troops and the tanks in play. And see how things play out. I have a really hard time breaking away from that. But anyway, the French were looking at the possibility of an attack somewhere in this range because they had a big stack of units, and I distributed some of them along the line in order to try to get another breakthrough. But then I looked at the French national morale, and it's at, or their demoralization, it's at 1,400. At 1,500, they're over the line. They lose their ability to produce at the same rates. To me, that feels like a bad choice to launch an attack at this point. I don't know. I don't know what the German one is. If that was close to the line, if this was what would break them, that would be awesome for me. But the truth is, it's not. I've got really another 700 to go on the Germans. So, but the French don't know that. All they know is that they're close. And another assault is going to put them right on that line. Probably early next year, they'll fall over. At least a significant one. So they've pretty much called off their attacks. The Brits, I don't know where theirs is. It's like they're supposed to hit 1,200. They're at 300 and something. They're in great shape in terms of that and can keep pounding the Germans and themselves. But the French army, to me, has sort of been neutered by this fear of the weakening of the national will at this point. I'd like to drive the Germans over before the French go over. I'd like to... Basically, I have no compelling reason to attack. Supplies aren't high enough to force an attack, and it's not like I can ever run out of reserve troops with the French. And I've got a lot of fixing to do still. So there's no real reason. This last attack down here was a very bad one for them. So I'm going to hold off. And basically, I think for the rest of this year, not much is going to happen. Although there may have to be some attacks in late December or sometime in December. Well, I set up the reinforcement track. Big effect for 1917. You can see this huge pile of German troops. This is withdrawals from the Russian front for the most part, but also a lot of it, well, some of it's withdrawals, this big stack of artillery here. Some of it's just assault troops, which are upgrades. There's a lot of withdrawals built in there. You're going to be replacing 8.5 infantry with 12.5 assault units. The assault units, once they lose those first 4 assault strength points, which is kind of weird, like, they stop being assault units anymore. And I don't know if they flip over and become something reasonable. I think they still look like assault units on the other side. No, they flip over to 10.5s. So, theoretically, you should be replacing them with the 8.5s, I guess, when they get down to that sort of, I'm not sure. But definitely a lot of stuff coming in. There's going to be a lot of swapping, a lot of crap going on. I'm really not looking forward to that. Oh, let me roll for my gas, since I've never done that before. And I know it's like a 2 or 12, so let's do the Allies. Okay, the Allies got a 2, which means maybe they got gas. I know I'm getting gas from this. Yeah, rules in between setup, everything. Okay, so what did we get? Okay, the Entente gets a gas marker. And I'll have to look up and see what they can do with this. They can pretty much just hold on to it. It's 2, 3, or 12 for the Germans. And they do not. Alright, so that's going to be our first use of gas. Again, you know, a lot of historical stuff got screwed up because of how I played it. This should have showed up a lot earlier by probabilities, but who knows? Maybe I could have rolled poorly throughout. It's not like there's a tremendous chance of it. I don't think that's going to cause an attack to be launched. I don't know. We'll see. The Brits have to launch one, so they may use it. The problem with them is they're just not generating a lot of supply points. They've got tons and tons of troops. Alright. Okay, pushing into January of 16, the Hindenburg line is completed. December of 15. The Hindenburg line has been completed now. First turn of winter. And the Germans are setting up, they can't begin construction because it's winter, on extending the line up along the Somme. And then also down here. I don't know how many, they're limited by countermix, so they only have X amount, and I don't know if that's the right amount, but they have nothing better to do with their engineers right now. They're in the process of falling back for the most part. They're not making any gains. The English are going to have to make an attack, but as I was searching through my troops to try to come up with one, I noticed, wow, they've already got a lot of units that are damaged that I had forgotten to pull out of the line yet. But they do want to make one. because of gas. Every month that you hold a gas counter, there's a chance that it disappears, that the enemies come up with countermeasures for it before you even got to use it. The information leaks, essentially. Alright, not much happening. The French started shifting some artillery up here. That's to threaten, I think there's a fort in that space or something. The Germans can just move more artillery into that area, though. But, yeah. Make them spread it out beforehand. It means no surprise attack, that's all. And I realized the U.S. is supposed to come in, and lo and behold, more problems with the reinforcement track. I look for this 5-4 Infantry Division number 5. So I sort through all of these, look for them. First of all, there are no 5-4s that are divisions or anything like it. But the 7-4s, which would flip over and be 5-4s, but no, none of them are designated 5. The only thing that is an 8-4. So there's no way of representing 5 strength points with this. Not by the game. And if you can do that, there is no reason to, well, almost no reason at all to have this not be a strength point game. Whatever little difficulties are added in representing the brittleness of bigger units or whatever, go away if you could represent this with more than one counter. But you're only allowed to use one counter to represent a loss on a unit. Now this is an 11-4 unit. Oh, yes I can. No, I can't. Because I could put a half on it and it would be a 6. I could put a half on this and it would be a 4. I could put a -2 on this and it would be a 6. There's no way to get a 5 from this. I don't know. But that's the unit they want in, and it's got an extra strength point I can't have. I don't know what I'm supposed to do about that. Anyway, I'll set that up for next year as well. Okay, and over here we're performing the first gas attack. These 3 hexes, French artillery included, I've only supplied the artillery. The infantry is at half strength. I've decided the British, if they get a breakthrough here from the gas, want to be able to continue, and in a sense they want to continue anyway, because they need to take casualties, and they don't have enough supplies. They only get 20 supply a turn so far. And that's until April next year. April next year they start getting 30, which should be enough to actually, provide the amount of casualties they want to create. And yes, that sounds really weird. The desire in this game is to burn your resources, whatever they are, add cost to the opponent. So now this is the first gas attack, so we're going to roll to see what the effect is. And chances are it's not much. But let's see. Okay, a 4. That's not good. Gas impedes the attack. The attack's got a -2 to the DRM to the attack and a +2 on the counterattack. That's not good at all. The Germans have some 70 strength points. They had no terrain bonus, but now they have one. I'll come back with the results of this. And with that penalty, things didn't work out well for the English at all. They only delivered 7 losses to the Germans and took 14 themselves. That takes some of the pressure off. Now, they certainly would have gotten better odds had they thrown the supply in. The additional supply would have meant another 60 strength points, probably close to 50% more damage. It would have been a close to equal battle. As it is, though, either way it wouldn't have been pleasant with that gas result. Okay, so the Brits launched another attack on this hex and pretty much wiped it out. I was actually surprised at how deep into it they got. They caused some 17 casualties to 10 for themselves, or 9 for themselves. Full artillery support, everything they could get in there. Again, though, the main reason here, they didn't have enough supplies for the troops. They, in fact, had almost none. They had 1 point that they could use for the troops. That's why I was shocked that they got a really good result. They got a good die roll, I guess. And the Germans are going to have to plug that gap again. And that's another hole in the line that they're going to have to shift troops from somewhere for. The last turn, it looked like, in fact, the last couple turns, it looked like they were kind of shifting troops in ways just strengthening everywhere. Now they're going to have to weaken places in order to make up for that. But of course, they have to make sure the line's absolutely smooth, which I will never do, in order to provide no traction. And absolutely smooth is kind of hard to judge, because this is a particularly important hex because it has no terrain advantages. Most of the other hexes give at least another, -1 to the attack. So one could do all kind of calculations there, but the base idea is to give the attacker an option of, okay, you want to attack me in the clear hex, there's going to be more troops there. You're going to attack me in one of the rougher hexes. You might have better numbers going for you, but not by a lot. That's not a big shift. But you're going to attack me in a hex where you only have 2 units adjacent to the hex, two of your own hexes adjacent. Well, I can decrease my force significantly, but maybe not by the 2/3. The bulges can't be that much harder because a lot of the force is actually supplied by the artillery pushing it. Of course, the Brits are out of supply now, and the Germans know it. They know the Brits don't have the supply for a full force. So there is the possibility of an attack on the Brits. The problem there is you still can't dislodge them any easier. But they had to weaken some of their hexes over here, over here. These aren't really easy to attack, though. Well, the French have too many supply points after December ends. The start of next year, they'll have too many. So they wanted to clean that up and did a little bombardment on Metz. 9 strength points, killed 3 supply points. I think that's all they need. I have to, of course, add everything up again because I can't remember in my head completely what these numbers all add up to. This is probably the biggest thing right now. Other than shifting troops and everything, a lot of time is spent, not a huge amount, but a lot of annoyance is spent on adding. And when the annoyance levels breach too high, for me, I begin to grow avoidant of the game. So, well, I run off and play a computer game instead. Which is why I should probably just quit this sucker. Unfortunately, because there are other things I'd like to be playing, and there's other things other people would like to see. Unfortunately, my sense of duty doesn't allow that, but it does allow me to put it off and not play. Such is life. Things may change soon. February 1st, I go back to work, so video games may not be a possibility anymore. They suck me in and take every breathing moment of my life. I'm going blind from them. I hate them. I really despise what they do to me. I'm playing a GTA, an old GTA one that, once upon a time I can remember, oh yeah, I used to be able to come in, play one mission and leave. Well, they've become so immersive now that I just can't break away from it. I'm playing it and playing it and playing it. All right. So that artillery blow killed 1 point off the Metz fortress there. Not a big deal, but the French have to burn the points. They caused a demoralization point for it. Whoop-de-doo. That's the best they can do. I mean, really, they don't want to lose troops, particularly. They don't want to launch a bad attack. And the Germans are continually having to withdraw units. Their line is getting weaker and weaker. They may have to pull back to that Hindenburg line. But I don't want to. I really don't want to. It feels like, oh, if I could, well, the snip here never really happened. And, I'm losing ground here. I lost this bulge. Constant attacks by the Brits are bleeding me. I don't know what this is doing me anymore, except being in a more exposed position than the Hindenburg line. But here's the problem. If this breaks, I have the Hindenburg line to fall back to. If the Hindenburg line somehow is broken, what next? We've got the open fields of Flanders out there, and that's not good. That becomes the territory that is indefensible. Why the Germans were able to charge forward so fast? Well, If their line breaks there, Belgium is open, basically. And that is not a good scenario for the Germans. Of course, that line's a lot less likely to break, but I think it's less likely to break even after this line's been broken. See, here's the risk. The nibbling on these edges, because there's not enough troops. The attacks over here, maybe over here, before the Somme line is constructed. These are the things that prevent that make it attractive to tighten the line a little bit. Pull back to the Oise. Give up the Marne. Give up their line along the Seine. But I don't like retreating, man. And nothing new and significant. No big shock. I mean, this is static warfare, obviously. Trench lines. A couple of them have been put into place down here because of the surge that the French made. They finally achieved that. No additional attacks going on. Germans took their 65 demoralization point hit. They're up to 35, almost 3,600. This last year, 1916, really hit them harder than 15 did. And it hit the French harder too. It felt like 14 was huge. Those few months in 1914, demoralization levels went way up. Well, 15 felt kind of mellow. But now we're closing it. It looks to me like the nations of France and Germany are going to collapse at some point during 17. Well, whatever kind of collapse. I mean, we're talking about the economic collapse. We're just, it's not as severe, but things just keep piling on. The English are still in pretty good shape, mainly because they haven't had the supplies to perform the attacks the way the French and Germans have been almost compelled to attack and attack and attack. The English just can't. This year, at some point, they're going to start getting, and we can find that. I've got the page open, actually. Looks like March is where they start getting March of 18, sorry. April of 17, they start getting 30 per month, which is getting more to the level of, for the amount of frontage they have, they can conduct some assaults. But, honestly, the French and Germans with 40 have been getting by with very few in the way of massive attacks. It's tough to actually convince yourself to attack in this game. Even though you probably have the edge in doing so in terms of demoralization points you cause. You can probably push enough of your units into an area where the enemy is a little weaker, or a lot weaker, and even tripled, they're a lot weaker, or a little weaker, and you can do more damage to them. But it's just, you don't want to drain your supplies. You don't want to be the guy who has no supplies and is halved, and the other guy gets his breakthroughs because of that, because he can put that force down on your weak spot. And it costs a lot more to make those attacks than it does to defend. All right. Well, this one's going up, end of 1916, beginning of 1917. And I had a little glitch over on my reinforcements track. These Germans in February had slipped into March somehow accidentally. That was easy enough to fix. All right, up it goes.
Sorry, I forgot to unmute myself there. Meandering Mike says you are muted. Dirk D says volume. Sorry about that, guys. No, I was just mentioning the secret of life there, so I'll say it again at some other point, at some other time. No, I was just saying that I was amazed at the lot of neat discussion going on in the comments. So that's really cool. I just love that stuff. And I was like, wow, this is just all that stuff. It was just nice to see. Yeah, please let me know what you guys are up to for the remainder of the weekend or whatever. What am I doing? I'll be honest with you, I'm so glad that we did get to watch some of the Calandale playthrough, because I mean, to see that an actual Der Weltkrieg game being played, I'm like, okay, zip on over. Mind you, even like just a little. I'm not saying Dirk, you were coaxing me that way, but like when you've often mentioned in the comments when we're going back and forth, and you're like, oh, how's your Der Weltkrieg going, or so on and so forth, and I'm like, oh my god. So it was kind of coaxing me. And last night I was like, better pop on over, even though I don't kind of like doing that type of stuff before the live stream because I don't want to clutter my head. But I was like, oh my god, I haven't really looked at it yet again in about a week. But I was like, right off the bat, I was like, straight at the Warsh army there, trying to figure out how to like start to move some of the troops to try to isolate part of the Russian Fourth Army there. I was like, okay, slow down, don't like, remember. There's the other thing I was going to start mentioning as well. I'm starting to clue in. I'm not saying Meandering Mike says I need to film another game giveaway for my channel. You need to, well, I'll tell you what like I was mentioning in one of your comments there, Meandering Mike. It's amazing how all of a sudden you're like a freaking tap. You're on your online course there, drip, 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 on all of a sudden this flood of like one, you got multiple videos. It's just freaking, I love it. But I was going to say about the game, but trying to, that's it. I think I'm getting better. Obviously, I think strategy-wise or whatever, trying to figure out about how to play games. But I think I still have a long way to go to understanding how World War One is played in a game. And why I mentioned that is Dirk D says, so many counters. No Retreat World War II does a good job of minimizing counters, but not rules. I don't know anything about, the No Retreat. Actually, I do. I have the original Victory Point one there for the East Front way up. I picked that up actually at Can Games a few years ago for like next to nothing, still sitting up in the Ziploc. But when I was watching, I finally got to watch the unboxing of The World Undone 1914 Serbia of Meandering Mike's thing. Rob was over here earlier in the week, so we finally got to sit down. We actually got to take a look at the game. We tore it apart. Dirk D says, it's hard to strategize entire wars by yourself. Yep, and takes a flippin' long time. William Arends says, Nanguea, you seem to be much more emotionally stable and connected to your audience than Calandale. Maybe that's because I don't show you those videos. It's ironic that you mentioned that. I'll put it on a side note. I'll give you some personal bits here in a minute, William Arends. John Longshore says, on the other hand, none of the actual countries had any strategies. Yep. Dirk, do yourself. Yeah, it was ironic. I was thinking about this earlier in the week. Actually, no, that's a bit too personal. We won't get into that. But anyways, we'll just say, how about emotionally stable is it's all dependent on who's perceiving it, I guess is what I'm trying to say. When I was watching that and Meandering Mike was making comments about certain things about the double movement and whatnot, and he started mentioning things about this sounds like mechanized movement. Also, yet again, when Dirk D was talking about, when he was saying, I'm playing the Decision Games Tannenberg game and then going into Muse Argonne, and I was also talking about, actually, I like it. It's an altered version of the Fire and Movement System, which is their World War I's thing, but I find it actually works quite well with the from the Tannenberg one. At least I haven't played it. I've played a little bit of the Vimy Ridge one, and that uses a little bit of a different thing. But what I'm trying to say is that I'm realizing that I still have a ways to go to understanding. You just can't say, whatever, like you move a counter's 3 movements this bit. In other words, what I'm saying is, if I think I'm ready to ever design a game or like rule systems that way, flip and get it. I think what I am though, and I've mentioned this before, is and I'm well on my way. I would say the only thing I have left really right now to do is to figure out which way I'm going to go on how to make printing maps. Because the other things, I'm going to tell you on a side note, it's just tweaking now. I don't want to get into it too much, but let's just say I've now can consistently make, I know for a fact I can, because I've done it in front of my flippin' face, is Dirk D says, one theory is the strategy was to kill off as many young men as possible for whatever agenda, as talk about consider. Well, I don't know any of that stuff. I can now consistently make or surpass the quality of counters, and I'm of any major game publisher that is out there right now. That I know for a fact. I've done it in front of my flipping face, in front of my, and I'm not talking about the wood ones. I'm talking about normal cardboardy, just whatever. So I blew my brains out last night. I was like, whoa, I can't tell the flipping difference. I can't. And I mean, so I was like, wow, basically all I have left now to do is to figure out how I'm going to like consistent, like I've costed it. Anyways, I don't want to go down that road. Charles Latora says, my 2 compass pre-orders through Noble Knight are in the mail. 1812 War in the Great Lakes. I think, is that that's a fairly recent one, isn't it? And Doomsday Project Volume 2, the Balkans. Ooh. But the Balkans from hell. Is that World War III or Cold War? I don't know too much. Did Meandering Mike do an unboxing of one of those a few weeks ago? I think he did. What else have I got to do this week? Well, I've got to still finish up getting ready for the Tannenberg thing. Can Games is 20 days away. I did do a playthrough of the Pocket Battles with Rob, which was kind of neat because I finally got to do this the head-to-head, which I've often wanted to do. For me, I consider the 2 heavyweights, and that's Romans versus Orcs. And Rob took the Romans, and I took the Orcs. Wasn't really a fair fight, to be honest with you. Meandering Mike says, unboxed 1812 Great Lakes. But didn't you do a Doomsday Project one or something as well? I thought there's something about that. Someone did something about it. Anyways, that I know of. It wasn't really a fair fight. I mean, I came up with a killer combo. He didn't roll very well, and plus I've played the game a bazillion more times than he has. Mind you, he did take the game home. The Orcs versus Elves won. So hopefully him and his kids are going to be playing it. So that would be kind of nice. He really enjoyed it. Rob loved it. So he was like, wow, this is an amazing game, this Pocket Battles. So much so, he's like, oh, can we still order them? I'm like, nope, they're out of print, man. Z-Man Games. Don't make them anymore, so you have to go and find them on a used site or eBay or whatever. So I'll be doing that. I think it's just, I'm figuring out. John Longshore says, I thought Western Front Ace was like a Richthofen's War. Was disappointed that it was a front-wide campaign game put in on my pass list. I don't know any. Is that the? So that's also a relatively new one, or is that? I think they were saying on the Compass one. Is that like, oh, you better hurry up? The pre-order is ending. Is this that one? Meandering Mike says, yes, I do. I also unboxed. That's it. That's the one. I knew I'd seen that on. I thought I'd seen that on your table. So that's it. I want to do a little bit. I'm gonna have to try to immerse myself into that. God, I can't believe it's taken me so flippin' long to play that game over there. That's it. John Longshore says new compass. I think it's on Kick. That's it. That was what the email I got. Oh yeah, let me just before we zip off into Wonderland, or I say goodbye to you guys. And yet again, man, thank you so flippin' much. I know it's still taking me a while. It's only 26 episodes in. Still trying to figure out my feet. I keep saying that, but hopefully it is getting better as it gets along. Meandering Mike says the War of 1812, the war that made Canada. Oh, I completely agree, William Arends. Yeah, it's for me, like when people have said, "Oh, you're into Napoleonics or whatever," I'm like, "Yeah, I am," but Napoleonic era in the sense that it happened during that time, but I'm far more interested in the War of 1812. It's obviously for obvious reasons. I mean, cheaper's jumping. But I wanted to show you the HMS Dwarf, if I can pop it up here. Hold on here. I got to get to the. Did I have it here? Oh, you darn! I thought I had it. No, I don't. Let's see if I can find it quickly. I just wanted to kind of show it to you. I can't do that one. I would have knocked you guys out of the whatever. So this is the, oh, there it is. HMS Dwarf. I do have it there. Hold on. just got to present here. So this is that boat, the vessel that seemed to have an awful lot of action with Captain Fuller. I think that was his name there in the Cameroons, trying to help out, getting ready for to figure out all the little estuaries and all the little river bits and whatnot was going on. Seemed to have had a hell of a lot of. Dirk D says burritos. Now I'm getting hungry. How were the beans, Charles? Oh yes. Okay, my girl. There we go. So this is yep, that's the picture. And so that's the and you can see the gun turret there, hopefully just on the left hand side. And so that was the HMS Dwarf. I'm not sure if it ended up getting. It took a ton of damage, but like I said, it was interesting when I was reading up about this. It was in the Great War in Africa book. I was thinking, wow, it kind of reminds me of the Star Trek, the Defiant, the tough little ship kind of thing. And I'll also show you this one. Yep, and we'll show you. There we go. So no, it's not that one. I wanted to show you the other link. Where are you, you crazy ass? Not that one. There we go. All right, this one. So that's it. So you can go here. Hopefully you guys can see that. And then, oops, I want to go to the... Dirk D says, John Longshore African Queen. Is that the kind of style of ship it was? Dirk D, is that their launcher hanging up? I don't know if it was... It was the best picture I could find of... so there it is. Like, that's just such a tiny little guy there that you can see. But... so here, that's the, and you can go up to here. I popped the link in here, the naval history stuff. But you can go down here and find out the whole. Sorry if it's not very big, but like I said, you can go there. But you can find out, and this is just for the HMS Dwarf. This website has got anything you can flip and find out about. For goodness sakes, it's just nuts. So if you're someone like McMurray, who's a freaking naval psycho. I mean, my God, you'd just be in heaven. Look at this. Look on, so let's go to when it was, they were actually attacking Douala. Let's go way the heck over, or they were going around in the river areas. Here, 9th of September, 5:45 in the morning. Weighed and closed HMS Cumberland. Cumberland's Marines came on board, proceeded to Swillaba Point or something. Like, holy smokes, man, that is totally cool. At least I think so. And then I'll go to stop the screen. So there we go. Meandering Mike says African Queen was smaller. So anyways, like I said, if you guys are interested in that type of stuff, I popped that in the description of the live stream and for the link at the very bottom. It says sources links or something like that. That's about it, guys. I'm super duper happy that, like I said, you guys show up and like to chit chat with me. It's about World War I and gaming. It's awesome. Charles Latora mentions two more coming soon. GMT coin the British way. Compass Interceptor Ace Volume 2. That sounds interesting. John Longshore Man, as well, dude, as well. I do have, I would like to take a look up eventually, and if you guys have it, and it's still available, it's by Decision Games. It's Over the Top. There are 4 scenarios in that. One was the Brusilov offensive. I don't know what the other ones are. I wouldn't mind taking a look at. In other words, what I'm saying is, yet again, like I said, we're always yabbering about World War I and everything that's been going on, like what I've been finding out throughout the week, but I also want to, if you guys know about certain games that you think, hey, Chris, you might be interested in this, or let's talk about that, please bring it up. Meandering Mike says, I did British Way on the P500, should be shipping. Oh my gosh, I cannot wait to talk with certain people offline about, game component publishing and design and all that. Anyways, that's all I got to say. I don't want to get into it right now. I'm just, my mind's going a mile a minute with that stuff. Okay, that's it. I'm gonna let you guys go. Let me go too. Yeah, it's 20 after 10. Oh my gosh. Hope you guys have a great time. Thank you so flippin' much. And next week will be chapter 4 of the Great War in Africa, which I do believe is there. I think it's the CEF moves inland. I think that is what the chapter is called. So that would be interesting to see. Dirk D says Nemesis Burma 1944. Is that? Well, I'll have to look up the comments afterwards, what you guys do. Meandering Mike says, ciao, y'all. Dirk D says, cheers. Thanks again, guys. And I'm off. And so are you. And I'll see you in a tiny little bit. Thanks again. Bye.